Hi guys, just Stacey here doing a live with Make Sense candles. Um, Tonight's live is all about your fragrance documents and sort of like your CLPs and everything for moving forward. Hope you're all doing well. So a bit of new news for Cosy Owl. We've finally got all of our IFRA 49th amendments up and ready on the website for all fragrances. It's also, unfortunately, it does mean that some of our fragrances are now users, but in better news, all of them will be suitable by the end of the year. We are having them reformulated so that they can be used in diffusers again, which is very exciting and sort of definitely awaited news from a lot of our customers there. So that's excellent news for what's coming with Cosy Owl. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. Thanks for having me. I feel slightly out of the loop because I've had to pause with being poorly for a little bit. So I'm glad to be back and talking about all these exciting updates and just getting a bit deeper into fragrances and everything.
Yeah, definitely. So, yeah, no, with the 49th Amendment, obviously, as a lot of people are aware, it caused a bit of chaos, especially in the diffuser department, if people are making them, and some in the soaps. But excellent news. We are having all of ours that are not suitable for diffusers reformulated so that they will be suitable. Sort of, we're hoping, definitely by the end of the year, start of next. They have all been reformulated. It is just a case of selling out of the old stock that is obviously under the current 49th IFRA document, ready to start selling the next lot.
That makes total sense. I've got to have a little look at my stock actually and work out what ones might fall into that trap basically for when I'm like purchasing new fragrance oil for moving forward.
So the easiest way to know if they are suitable as well for end users in our full diffusers is if you go onto the website and onto the diffuser category. So don't just go straight to the fragrances, go to the diffuser category and then fragrances for diffusers. They are listed on there, all that are suitable currently. And as the new batches come in, we'll add them to that list. So then you'll then know that that has changed and it's been the reformulated version that's available.
Yeah, that's brilliant. That's really, really helpful. Should we just wait for a couple more people to join and then jump in?
Yep.
Because we're earlier than usual, which is nice, but we might be catching the people coming back from work.
We find a lot of people, we have more people watch it back after it's finished than actually join us on the live. So
yeah, I think it's quite nice. I try and ask you guys lots of questions that people at home might be thinking about as well, especially with this stuff today, so that then when it is watched back it can be really useful. Okay, cool. Well, I'll kick things off just by introducing myself for anyone new or who's watching this back later on. My name's Abby. I started my own small business, Make Sense Candles, a couple of years ago now, back when COVID all started, and I found myself at a bit of a loose end. And I started with the Cosy Owl make your own candle kits, the beginner kits. So if you've joined my lives before, you'll have followed my sort of journey a little bit with Cosy Owl. And each week on these lives, or every couple of weeks, sorry, we challenge one another to come up with either creative ideas, talk about new updates in candle making. They often set me challenges as well to try out new products and basically be a guinea pig for you guys. So that's what I do. Stacey, do you want to introduce yourself?
At Cosy Owl, I deal with a lot of majority sales, so like the wholesale clients, but also dabbling in customer service at the moment. I would just like to express to anybody, if you do have any customer service issues, do just bear with us. We're operating on a reduced team at the moment, so we're just trying to get through and round to everybody as quickly as we can, and we do apologise if there is a bit of a delay on our responses, but we will come back to you, rest assured. And also I deal with a lot of the sort of technical data, so like your CLPs, your SDSs, your IFRAs. I do a lot of the editing of those documents to then get them ready and onto the website.
All the really exciting stuff. That's what everyone's
You're welcome.
But all of that stuff today, I think we'll be able to do two things, like help answer some of the questions that people might be asking you guys anyway in the office about all of these new updates, amendments, and also try and make it a bit more friendly to understand like all these changes. Because I know I've been doing some research this afternoon as you've set me a challenge, and it's overwhelming on first glance, but actually the guides from the Cosy Owl website are really helpful at actually working out whether certain things actually affect you and your company. Like if you don't touch diffusers, the 49th Amendment doesn't seem to have done too much to affect things.
Really.
So there's a bit of scaremongering, I think, amongst people.
Definitely.
So I think today, I mean, I'm in your capable hands really here, Stacey, because you're a technical wizard.
No pressure.
If we start, for anyone who's new to candle making, on how to get started with SDSs and CLPs, and talk about then what's in your fragrance oils at Cosy Owl that make them stand out. So all of those good things, and then come back for anyone who's been kind of making a bit longer and cover the 49th Amendment and all the juicy stuff.
Not a problem. Okay, so if we start off, every fragrance oil and essential oil will have an SDS document, an IFRA, an allergen, and some will have CLPs. It's not a necessity, but some people provide them. So to break them down, you've got your SDS, which is a safety data sheet. So basically that is just a write-up of everything that's in that fragrance, all hazards that it contains, precautionary statements that are relevant then to those hazards, and a real in-depth look into the ingredients and what they mean, even as far as how the fragrance can be sort of transported from one location to another, because it is classed as a hazardous substance, that's the word, thank you. So it is classed as that, so it's all that breakdown. You as a candle maker, it's always worth having that safety data sheet on file, but you do not have to provide that to your customers unless they request it, which is why it's always kind of worth having it on file. Also, it's handy because sort of you can make and sell a diffuser which your end user purchases, their child then drinks it. They will come to you and say, what was in that? You can then just quickly send them that safety data sheet, which they can take to the hospital with them. Obviously, now we do have codes that go on your made product, which the hospital can then look at should it come to that and know exactly what's in it, because it's a registered thing now. So as long as you're doing it sort of by the book, if you like, you should have that on your product anyway that covers you. And the SDS is based at 100% fragrance load. So it's not a diluted version of the fragrance, it's just pure fragrance oil. And this is, I'd say, is one of our biggest kind of questions that we get asked is, why is there a pictogram on the SDS that's not on the CLP? Is your CLP wrong? Am I providing the wrong information? No, it's not wrong. The CLPs are based at a percentage, so 5, 10, 15 and 25%. So that's a diluted version of that fragrance oil in a non-hazardous substance, which would be the wax. So because it's diluted, there's less of it present, so it's less toxic, if you like. So therefore, there's less data on there. You can have an SDS document that's got 3 pictograms and a CLP that has none. It's just because it is a weaker version. Now, the CLPs on our website are gradually going to be changing to SDS CLPs. So basically what that means is your SDS document that we currently have is at 100%. We will provide the same data at a 5% load, if you like. The main reason that is happening is because we sell to a lot of EU countries. So for them, they don't have CLPs in the same way we do. They have them as an SDS document. So rather than providing 2 lots, we'll provide 1 lot that fits all, if that makes sense.
Yeah, so does that mean that anyone, if you sell to Europe, there's obviously lots of legislation around posting
Yeah.
products abroad anyway, and selling candles particularly abroad.
Mm.
I stick to the UK just because of
Yeah.
that. But so does that mean there's like an extra sheet that goes in or something like that, or a bigger label?
Yeah,
Okay.
to sell in the EU, you have to have a responsible person that actually lives in the EU. So somebody that will vouch for your product and for your company and for your business that lives in the EU. And then also you have to, I believe, don't quote me on this, but you have to have that SDS document at the percentage that you've used, because you have to send that off to get approval. Don't quote me on that. I know that's definitely sort of the case for a lot of products. Candles, I'm not 100% sure, but I'm pretty sure that is what they have to do. So that's why they need that percentage SDS rather than the 100%, because they can send off a 10% CLP, but it hasn't got enough information on it that they're happy with over there. So that's why they require the SDS, which has got more in-depth information.
Yeah, that makes sense. I think with everything on today's live, it's a really good refresher for anyone who, like me, has been making candles for a while and then a bit confused by the updates, or just starting out. So we'll try and cover as much as possible, but also within the time of like 20 minutes or so. Go and have a look and research things, because it will help. It will hopefully really help going through this today anyway.
And when those percentage SDSs do go live, it's worth noting that the only information that you need in the UK on your CLPs is section 2.2, which is product labelling. So that's got your ingredients, your H phrases, your hazards, and your P phrases. Obviously, the P phrases that are listed on there are every P phrase that applies to their hazards. You only need to select the precautionary statement, so P phrase, that is relevant to the product you've made. So if there's one about ingesting it, obviously that's not suitable really for candles, but it is suitable for diffusers. So it's just based on what you've made and whether you feel it's relevant to it. I mean, a lot of them are like handle with care and wear goggles and face masks. Obviously with a candle, that's not necessary. So it's just picking out those phrases that are relevant to you.
That would take relaxing on a Friday night with goggles to a whole new level.
I just need my wine. Let me take my mask off.
I'm so relaxed.
We're back in lockdowns. It's fine. So yeah, that's definitely worth mentioning. They haven't swapped over yet, but they're gradually going to be changed over the next sort of month or two as they go live on the website and are updated. So just keep a lookout for them. Don't panic, but if you do have questions, of course, do just send us an email or give us a phone call. We are always there to help.
And that information on the CLP labels, which is often found like on the bottom of candles, covering ingredients, hazard phrases, that's not a big change really to now, is it?
No.
And there's a guide on the site which says exactly what's needed. So it's still contact details. It's like everything you would need as an individual. If something were to go wrong and you were to have an allergic reaction, you'd want to know what was in something and who to get in contact with about it. So that is it basically.
The best guide we have on our website is the one that's titled CLP Regulations. It literally breaks it down for sort of a worst case scenario CLP, if you like, where there's a lot of information needed on your on your label, and then sort of best case scenario where very little is needed. There are and it really does break it down. I wrote it myself, so I'm probably going to talk it up a bit more. But it really does break it down to help you understand, because I think that's the hardest thing when especially when you first go into candle making. There is so much information from so many different places that it can all just become a bit of a blur. So I like to think that it's written in a really easy way to understand and kind of digest the information without really big long words that just lose you from the get-go.
Yeah, no, I think so as well from looking at it. No, it's really, really good. I think all of the guides are really helpful actually. I quite often go back to them, especially if I've mentioned this before on live, trying out a new product, trying out new fragrance, I go back and check all documentation anyway, checking,
Yeah.
you know, flash points as standard, and then all the CLP bits.
Yeah.
And I was saying right at the start of this live that I will need to go back with my stock and double check what fragrance oils I've got and which I can carry on using and which I can't, and things like that.
And it's also, especially with that checking back, if you've got stock that is sort of a year old, you do definitely need to check that it's not from a stock that contained lyra or lily oil, because they're now banned substances. So that's also something worth checking. And that's why it sort of coincided with the IFRA 49th Amendment that it became a banned substance. So it meant all our SDS documents, some of them needed to change. Then all 3 relevant CLPs needed to change, and all German and French versions of them needed to change. So it's why we have been quite delayed in getting those documents to you, and we do apologise. But there was just so much that all coincided at the same time.
But those documents have every bit of information that as a maker you need. So you can copy and paste them into a CLP template, basically. So as much work as that is for you guys, you've helped out loads and loads of other people as well. So definitely go and check those out for anyone who is watching. So we've mentioned CLPs and SDSs and sort of getting ready. Other things you might need to consider just quickly are insurance for online sales and also in person if you're doing like trade shows. Also, trading standards is a good port of call initially for checking different things and what you can and can't do. And then, of course, all those safety things we've talking about there. I choose the fragrance oils from Cosy Owl because all of the little things that we're going to talk about in a second, the sort of values and eco sort of choices are aligned with like my brand and what I like doing personally. But for anyone else who's like new to anything at Cosy Owl or is kind of deciding what fragrance oils to choose and kind of looking at all the components, there's a few things that you talk about, sort of signal words almost to look for. So things like CMRs. Should I just list them off and you tell me what they are?
Yeah. So your CMRs are chemicals that are designated to particular groups. So C stands for carcinogenic, which is cancer forming. Obviously you hear that and instantly you just, yes, it's negative. But oddly enough, it's a lot of natural ingredients that actually contain these. So it's, and it's only really dangerous when you are sort of regularly at a high level using this product. Certainly within, as being a candle maker or an end user, you are not at sort of danger or risk of it. However, because it is there at such a minute level, we still like to make you aware that it's there. So if a fragrance says CMR free, it's not there. But if it doesn't state it, it is there. So the C is carcinogenic. The M is mutagenic, which can lead to mutations. And the R is reprotoxic, so toxic to reproduction. And that's not just to, that is mainly sort of unborn children that can be dangerous to. So, but a lot of people hear it. And again, it is at such high levels, not at the levels that are in the fragrances.
Yeah.
But I believe only sort of 3-4% of our fragrances actually contain one of those. And I think it's very common in citrusy kind of ingredients, natural occurring citrus ingredients that we use. So it's kind of the downside to using such high natural ingredients in our fragrances, because it's difficult to kind of remove them from it. But yeah, if it's there, we let you know it's there.
Yeah. And that is very similar to parabens. They're also known to cause problems with reproductive systems.
But all of our fragrances are free of parabens. We do not have parabens in our fragrances, and that is, you'll see that on the website as well. But it's a chemical that has got well-known CMR properties to it.
Now this one I'm definitely going to pronounce it wrong because I've never had to say it out loud. But phthalates, the pH.
Phthalate.
Oh, there we go, close.
Yeah, the amount of times I had to Google that word and get Google to say it to me for me to be able to say it. Yeah, phthalate, as if you're saying just the TH. Forget the PH at the start. Phthalates.
So this one's in plastics.
It is. I believe there are 7 known phthalates, only one of which is used in fragrance oils. It's not in all of them, but it is in some of them, and it's an enhancer. But 6 of the 7 phthalates are sort of considered dangerous, if you like, not friendly. Then there is one phthalate which is considered friendly, and oddly enough, that is the one that is used in fragrances. Shortened version, it's called DEP, DEP. Now, I'm probably going to say this wrong, but its long name is diethyl phthalate.
Right.
I hope I got that right. For anybody listening, I apologise if not. Yeah, so diethyl phthalate, it's considered a friendly phthalate and not dangerous, and it's just used as a sort of an enhancer to give you that better scent throw. It is in some of them, but not in all. And again, if it's there, we let you know it's there.
And there's one final one on my list, which is PEG, and it's a non-biodegradable substance.
Yeah, it's like a versatile chemical, which can be used in some skincare products. Almost all of our fragrances are free of this, but again, we let you know if it is there. It's like an emulsifier.
Okay.
It's safe in most cosmetic applications, but again, just because it does have some negative sort of information surrounding that, we let you know it's there if it's there.
Yeah, I think it's all really positive. And the stuff that we didn't mention this about CMRs, but all of these substances that are kind of labelled as harmful to an extent, some of that is with a level of supposition as well, and just to be on the safe side, because your products aren't tested on animals or humans or anything.
Exactly. So where it is completely cruelty free, we just, worst case scenario, we'll let you know it's there, even though it's not considered dangerous at the levels in which our product contains it.
Yeah, but no, I think it's really helpful to mention that, and also just as makers, so we know what's in our products and then can make different choices.
Exactly.
Right, I can't even make this more exciting than it is for 49th Amendment, but I'm just going to make it more easy to understand, I would say, than normal. Right, 49th Amendment. Should we just go over that to wrap things up?
So, I mean, we've actually had a 50th Amendment now as well. No. The space it's taken. So basically, the 49th Amendment, it was they've introduced, if you like, new sort of categories to the IFRA document. So an IFRA is basically kind of a list of everything your fragrance could be used within, and then sort of the safe percentages you can use that fragrance to. So, for example, a lot of candles, it is 100% safe for the fragrance oil to be used in there. Obviously, it wouldn't be a candle if you used 100% fragrance load. It would be a fragrance oil. But so it's just letting you know what is the maximum percentage you could use.
Yeah.
Now, they introduced a subcategory, which is 10A, which is what all diffusers have been moved into. And now diffusers were pretty much always 100%. The odd fragrance, you were talking sort of 50, 65%. But it's always been a case of your fragrances are suitable in diffusers. Now, they've been a lot stricter on this. I think a lot of it does come from the fact that there have been cases of diffusers being ingested because they smell great, they look pretty, they're in a bottle. What are children going to do? Oh, mummy, this smells like candy cane. Yeah. I'm going to drink it. So, and I think because of that, they've had to introduce a stricter kind of policy on your percentage loads as to what's safe. Because of that, it has affected most fragrance oil sellers, because a lot of fragrances are just not suitable now. And there'll be a particular ingredient in the fragrance that's kind of triggered that lower percentage, just because that particular
not suitable at all for diffusers, would you say? Or is it that you can't do them at 20% or 25%?
Yeah. So they're all pretty much 90, sort of 90% of our fragrances come in at around sort of 2 to 8% fragrance load. So obviously that's not going to achieve a very successful scent throw in a diffuser. So it's then kind of made it's not viable.
Yeah.
Because you realistically do want at least a 20% fragrance load for a diffuser. So based off of the fact that a lot of ours aren't suitable, we've gone back to the manufacturer and said, no, we want these reformulated. So whatever ingredient is triggering, if you like, that lower percentage, it's removed so that it then can be used at a higher percentage. So, I mean, that's realistically the biggest change in the 49th Amendment. Candles haven't really been affected. Some soap has been affected, but it's just a lower percentage or even a higher percentage in some places. So other than that, nothing really has been impacted.
No. And you mentioned about those 2 ingredients, in case people just joined later, that you should check that you haven't got any in stock.
So Lyral, which is Lyral, and Lilial, Lilial.
We're really testing you tonight. Pronunciation, all of the skills. No, so those we can't sell anymore. I'm assuming I could burn those for personal use at home or friends and family. Just can't sell them.
Yeah, exactly. Just can't be sold. So, yeah, I would say the best thing to do is either burn them yourself or gift them to, I would say, close friends and family.
Yeah.
I wouldn't gift them to people that are like already purchasing from you, because then it would be considered as like a free gift if you buy from me sort of incentive, which then may implicate you if you know that it's there. So I'll just try and avoid that. And if you've got a lot of sort of leftover stock, sort of if you hold a lot, again, it would just be personal use.
Yeah. And or otherwise it goes down as a waste product, I suppose, really, and then it's like you could offset that in your expenses. That's again another exciting topic, tax. Just to spice things up. Yeah, that makes sense. So that's my homework, basically, to check through all my ingredients with everything we've said today. Just make sure that I'm up to date with all the CLPs and that I'm getting ready personally for the 2.2 change with the CLP. So if anyone's late joining this, go back and rewatch for those little sections about CLP changes. There's a few things at the start as well about getting started as a seller.
And it's worth noting that Lyral and Lilial was removed from all of our fragrances sort of mid last year. So anything purchased beyond that point, you're fine.
Yeah, I think that's really good to note. Amazing. Well, I think we've covered everything, unless you're thinking of something else I've forgotten.
No, I'm fine.
No, that's all good then. Perfect. So if anyone has any questions or anything like that, as always, pop a comment on the bottom of this video. Like once it goes on to Cosy Owl profile, you can watch it back there if you want to. If you stayed with us the whole time, I don't blame you if you don't want to recap. But we'll be back in a couple of weeks' time. I think we've got a few different things coming up about beeswax and various products. I noticed on the site, I'm just going to finish with this, that there's a sale on, which I didn't realise, which has got some really good stuff in there, like wax and soap. So we're just going to sort of let everyone else in on that secret.
Have a look. Yeah. That's fine, we don't mind.
Thanks so much, Stacey.
No worries. Thank you. Take care. Have a good evening, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.